and welcome to Cambridge Chemistry channel with Sarwatahmed. Be sure to like the video and subscribe, it really helps the channel to grow. Today I will discuss Cambridge O level paper 507022 May June. Let's start. Question number 1, answer all the questions in this section in this spaces provided. The total marks for this section is 45. Choose from the following compounds to answer the question. So each compound may be used once, more than once, or not at all. State which compound is purple in color. So this is students of O level should know the colors of the compounds. So this is very common compound which is purple in color, potassium manganate, which is used in titration, redox titration, as well as to test the reducing agent. So this is potassium manganate, which is purple in color. Reacts with aqueous sodium sulfate to form white precipitate. This is barium nitrate. Barium nitrate is the answer. Barium nitrate, and you know barium nitrate form white precipitate in this reaction. So this is barium nitrate. Reacts with aqueous chlorine to give a brown solution. You know this is the chlorine can react with all halogens of group 7 from its compound and has an ability to displace group 7 ions from its compound. So chlorine when react with potassium iodide to form potassium chloride and iodine, and the observation of this reaction is iodine is brown in color. So the answer is potassium iodide. Is prepared using a precipitation reaction, and you know that select the insoluble salt from the list of the compounds given. You know that which is insoluble. This is insoluble salt. It is aqueous, it is aqueous, it is soluble. All other compounds are soluble in water except silver chloride. So this is the best option, silver chloride. Is prepared using precipitation reaction, and insoluble salts are used to prepare in precipitation reaction. This is precipitation reaction when silver nitrate react with the aqueous salts of chloride to give white precipitate of silver chloride and sodium nitrate. Contains an ion with a charge -3. So this is the compound sodium nitrate, which is formed like sodium carrying plus charge and nitrogen carrying -3 charge. Charges are always cross multiplied when ionic compounds are formed and when ionic bond is formed. So this is Na3N. So in this way nitrogen carrying -3 charge is used to test for reducing agent. So if there is a reducing agent, oxidizing agent is used to test for reducing agent, and if is used to test for oxidizing agent, you must use reducing agent. So this is a reducing agent. So potassium manganate is an oxidizing agent. This is an oxidizing agent in list, and this is reducing agent in the list. Students often used to make this mistakes that when it is written is used to test for reducing agent, they quickly write down with potassium iodide, but this is used to test for oxidizing agent. You know that oxidizing and reducing agent, opposite reagent is used. If used to test for reducing agent, used oxidizing agent. If used to test for oxidizing agent, so just mention the oxidizing agent for reduce. So here is used to test for reducing agent, you must write down KMnO4, because KMnO4 of potassium manganate 7 is used to test for reducing agent. Next question, the table shows some information about the elements in group 6. The oxygen 2,6, this is electronic configuration of the all elements given. Oxygen is present in period 2, so there are two shells, first shell with 2 electron and second shell because it is present in group 6, and you know that group number determine the valence shell electron. So sulfur is in period 3, so it has 3 shells, so first with 2, second 8 and third 6. And you know, look at the valence shell electron, all are present in group 6, so all have 6 electrons in their valence shell. Now next is state the electronic configuration of sulfurs. So this is 2, 8 and 6. Predict the density of polonium. So how to, if the table different values of different elements are given, how to predict the density of the polonium. This is the last element of group 6, so you know that what is, look at the trend, what is going on. Density is going to increase down the group. If it is 6.3, then look at the difference between 4.8. So look at the trend, 0.0013 it changes to 2.1, and next is the little bit more than double value, so this is 2.4, or if it makes double then it will be equal to, it should be equal to 4.2, but this is 4.8, so down the group density is going to increase. So this is 6. If it is 4.8 and it is 6.3, there is a difference between these two values are 6.3, 4.8. So do minus the 13.5, and over here 1.5, so this is nearly 1.5. so if we add this value in 6.3, 1.5, this is 8 and 7.8. so the values between you can add, you can write down the value more than 7.8 as well. You can just write down 8.3. so the range is always acceptable, so you can write down 8.3, so this will be correct. 1 point's little more than 1.5 or 7.8 value, difference between 7.8 value. So this is almost 2 difference, so this is okay. So the value is to 8.3. Sulfur has a boiling point of 445 degrees centigrade. Predict the physical state of sulfur at 200 degrees centigrade. It is liquid. 445 is the boiling point. Predict the physical state of sulfur at, so its melting point of sulfur is 113. It means at 113 degrees centigrade all sulfur become liquid. So this is 200 degrees centigrade. You know, melting point determines that melting point at 113 sulfur, all sulfur melts into liquid form. So 113 him, then at 200 degrees centigrade the physical state of liquid sulfur is liquid, and you can write down in explanation as melting point of sulfur is below than 200 degrees centigrade. And boiling point is above. Above than 200 degrees centigrade. So it will be liquid. Oxygen exists as diatomic molecule. Draw a dot and cross diagram for a molecule of oxygen. Show only the outer shell electrons. So this is very important to mention the so this is a structure. You should know that oxygen is look at the periodic table. Oxygen is present in group 6 and oxygen has 6 valence shell electron. So oxygen needs 2 electrons, each oxygen needs 2 electrons to complete its octet. So this is the oxygen and oxygen. So oxygen has 6 electron, one pair is shared with this oxygen atom. So this is oxygen. If it is draw dot and cross diagram, so mention the electrons for this atom with cross, and if this is cross and this is dot, so this is the dot and cross diagram of oxygen molecule. Explain in terms of structure and bonding why oxygen has low melting point. Oxygen has weaker intermolecular forces. Oxygen has weaker intermolecular forces which require less energy to break. Because oxygen is a simple molecule, so that's why all simple molecules have weaker intermolecular forces which require less energy to break, so it has a low melting point. Selenium is a non-metal. Reduce the formula of selenium 4 oxide. This is very common, selenium 4 oxide. This is a very, in this group sulfur form SO2. So just remember that. So this is very common formula of sulfur dioxide, and if it is selenium 4 oxide, then it is written as. So this is also sulfur 4 oxide, because in this compound sulfur has +4 oxidation state, +4 charge, so that's why it is written like sulfur 4 oxide. It can also be written like sulfur 4 oxide. Sulfur is present in group 6, selenium also present in group 6, so selenium form the same type of formula like SeO2, because elements of same group share similar chemical formula. So this is the formula selenium 4 oxide. A small sample of selenium 4 oxide is dissolved in water. 2 drops of universal indicator are added to this solution. You know that this is non-metallic oxide, and non-metallic oxide when dissolved in non-metallic oxides are acidic oxide, and when acidic oxide dissolve in water they form acid solution. So when 2 drops of universal indicator are added to this aqueous solution, predict the color of the universal indicator in this solution. Color is red, because universal indicator when selenium 4 oxide is dissolved and it is added because it has acidic properties, and when dissolved in water it forms like SeO2 when dissolved in water to form H2SeO3. This is acid, and acid also has the same, which is like H2SO3. So the universal indicator turns red. Explanation is that because SeO2 is non-metallic or acidic oxide, when dissolved in water form acid. Calculate the volume in dm cube of 30.2 gram of oxygen at room temperature and pressure. Gives your answer to two significant figures. So first we know that oxygen, this is mass of oxygen first converted into mole. Mole of oxygen is mass over mR. So mass is 30.2 and mR is oxygen O2 is equal to 32. 16 multiplied by 2 is equal to 32. So this is 32. The answer is, the mole of oxygen is 0.94375, and volume of oxygen, we know that the mole is equal to volume of gas divided by molar gas volume, and volume of gas is now volume of gas will be calculated like this, and molar gas volume is equal to 24 decimeter cube. Volume of gas is equal to mole into 24 dm cube. Mole is 0.94375 into 24, this is equal to 23 decimeter cube. Question number 3. The diagram shows some reactions of butanoic acid, gas A and salt B, gas C and liquid D. Okay, this is carboxylic acid, and carboxylic acid when react with the magnesium, so the gas A and hydrogen gas A is hydrogen and B is magnesium 1 2 3 4 butanoate. So this is C4H 7 C3H7 CO2. This is the magnesium butanoate, and in this way the salt is same. Gas is carbon dioxide because this is magnesium carbonate, and liquid D is water. Heat with ethanol, liquid D and organic liquid E. Ethanol is C2H5OH, and when it reacts with this compound C3H7CO2H, the ester is formed. Organic liquid E is ester, so the ester is C3H7 CO2 C2H5. Ethyl butanoate plus water. Liquid D is water, so this is D and this is E. So identify name of A, B, C, D. A is gas A, hydrogen. Magnesium. B is magnesium butanoate. And C is carbon dioxide. And D in this case liquid D, and in organic liquid D is water. Name and draw the structure of E. Name is ethyl butanoate and structure is structure. Ethyl butanoate. So draw all hydrogen. Butanoic acid is a weak acid. State what is meant by the term weak acid. Butanoic acid is a weak acid. State what is meant by the term weak in weak acid. Strong acid is completely ionized in aqueous solution, while weak is in weak acid mean partially, does not completely ionized or partially ionized. Does not completely ionized in aqueous solution. Question number 4. The table shows information about some particles. State the nucleon number. Nucleon number is always look at the mole number. Mole number mean this is proton plus neutron. So nucleon is always the particle number of particles present in nucleus. So this is nucleon number. So proton is 35 and neutron will be 4. So this is the total number is 79. State the nucleon number of bromine. It is 79. Number of electron in bromide ions. So you know the number of proton is equal to the number of electron. So when if it is negative charge, so 1 electron more than proton than this number. So always if it is 35, the number is of bromide ion is like 36. This is 36. Calcium is the full symbol for one isotope of calcium. Write the full symbol for the one isotope of calcium. Calcium, yes, this is calcium 20, and we write on 1 or 2 more, 42 can be written. So this is the isotope of calcium. Describe how a calcium ion is formed from a calcium atom. calcium is a metal present in group 2. It loses 2 electrons. Calcium loses 2 electrons to form calcium 2 positive. Calcium bromide is an ionic compound. Calcium bromide conducts electricity when molten but not when solid. Explain why calcium bromide conducts electricity when molten but not when solid. In solid calcium bromide, ions are fixed, cannot move. While in molten or in liquid, ions are free to move. Predict 2 other physical properties of calcium bromide. Calcium bromide is ionic compound, so ionic compounds have high melting and boiling point. Bromide has high and boiling point. And ionic compounds are soluble in water. So write down calcium bromide. Calcium bromide dissolves in water. Question number 5. Ethanol is manufactured by the reaction between ethane and steam. The conditions used are 300 degrees centigrade, high pressure and phosphoric acid catalyst. The reaction between ethane and steam is reversible. The forward reaction is exothermic. An equilibrium mixture is formed when reversible reaction happens in a closed system. Predict what happens to the amount of ethanol in the equilibrium if the temperature is decreased and pressure remains constant. So this is exothermic reaction. If temperature is decreased, the reaction will favor the exothermic side. So overall reaction is exothermic. It means forward reaction is exothermic and backward is endothermic. So this is exo and backward is endo. So decreased temperature always favor the exothermic side. So predict the what happens to the amount of ethanol. If reaction towards an exothermic side or forward, the more ethanol is formed. More ethanol is formed. As equilibrium will shift forward or right side, predict what happens to the amount of ethanol in the equilibrium mixture if the pressure is decreased. So this is gas, this is pressure only effect in case of gases. So by increasing pressure, equilibrium will shift the side with less number of moles, and by decreasing pressure, equilibrium will shift the side with more number of moles. Over here 1 mole of ethene, 1 mole of water to form 1 mole of. Over here on the reactant side there are 2 moles on reactant side producing 1 mole of ethanol on the product side. So if the pressure is decreased and the temperature remains constant, the reaction will shift backward. Amount of ethanol is decreased, less ethanol is produced. As equilibrium will shift, equilibrium will shift to the left or backward. Or towards more moles of gas. Describe the manufacture of aqueous ethanol by fermentation of glucose. Include the equation and the essential conditions needed for this fermentation. So this is equation: glucose C6H12O6 C2H5OH plus CO2. The conditions are yeast, presence of yeast, enzyme, temperature is range is 20 to 40 degrees centigrade, and absence of oxygen. So these are the conditions in the presence of if it is written describe, so just write down glucose is glucose react with yeast at 20 to 40 degrees centigrade temperature in the absence of air to form ethanol and carbon dioxide in the closed container or in closed vessel. So this is very important to mention in description, because describe the manufacture of aqueous ethanol by fermentation. you must write in words. So this is the chemical equation. First write down chemical equation and then write down the description. Glucose react like this. All conditions should be there in your description. Glucose react with yeast. This is the one condition. This is one condition in your description. This is another condition in description. Absence of oxygen and absence of air. This is the description, and you must write down only in this form, description. This is first write down chemical reaction and next describe this reaction. Glucose react with yeast at 20-40 degrees centigrade temperature in the absence of air to form ethanol and carbon dioxide in the closed vessel. So all these requirements should be in your description. Question number 6. A sample of an alloy containing aluminum of copper is added to hot dilute sulfuric acid. Only aluminum react with dilute sulfuric acid. The products of the reaction are hydrogen and aqueous aluminum. Construct the ionic equation. This is the reaction. Aluminum and copper dot Cu plus sulfuric acid to form Al2 SO4 thrice plus this is aqueous and hydrogen gas. So balance the reaction and S4 3. So this is 4 oxygen over here and 4 3s are 12. So place 3 over here. Sulfur is 3, so it is balanced. So then sulfate ion, same ions are cancelled out, sulfate ions are cancelled, and the reaction is Al solid state plus 6 hydrogen ion to form 2Al3 positive aqueous ion plus 3H2. Describe a chemical test for aluminium ion. Add aluminium ion, add sodium hydroxide few drops of sodium hydroxide and then excess. This is test and observations are white precipitate of aluminium hydroxide are formed which dissolves in excess of sodium hydroxide. So always write down the formula sodium hydroxide. Don't write down the formula until unless asked. You always write down the name of the compound. The aqueous aluminum sulfate formed is crystallized to make hydrated aluminum sulfate. The relative formula mass of hydrated aluminum sulfate is 666. Calculate the value of X in the formula. The value of aluminum sulfate is so this is Al2SO4 thrice dot XH2O. So the formula of aluminum sulfate is given 666 plus hydrated aluminum sulfate is given, is equal to 666. So aluminum sulfate, find out the aluminum sulfate. Aluminum is 27 into 2 is aluminum. Sulfur is 32 into 3, and oxygen is there are 4 atoms of oxygen. 4 atoms, 4 3s are 12 atoms of oxygen. 16 into 4. This is sulfur, this is oxygen. So add this. So this is the relative formula mass of hydrated aluminum sulfate is 666. Calculate the value of X in the formula. So this is the aluminum sulfate Mr 342, and 342 plus 18X is equal to 666. 18X is equal to 666 minus 342. So in this way X value is 18. So state the what is meant by the term alloy. Alloy is mixture of metal with another element. Element like it can be carbon or any non-metals. So that's why it is written with another element. You can write down mixture of metal plus metal. So this is mixture of metal plus metal, or metal plus carbon, or any other element you can write down. So this should be the answer. Section B, carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide are pollutants formed a power station that burns fossil fuels such as coal. State 1, environmental problem caused by producing carbon dioxide as an atmospheric pollutant. One environmental problem. Burns fossil fuels such as coal, carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide are pollutant. So state 1, environmental, this is causes global warming. Or greenhouse effect can be, or climate change. Global warming, rising the temperature. State 1, environmental problem caused by producing sulfur dioxide as an atmospheric pollutant. So this is sulfur dioxide is acidic gas when dissolved in water form acid rain. So the problem is acid rain, because sulfur dioxide is when dissolved in water form H2SO3, acid rain. Sulfur dioxide produced at power stations can be removed by a process called flue gas desulfurization. In flue gas desulfurization, react with calcium carbonate. The reaction needs to be fast to remove as much sulfur dioxide as possible. Explains using ideas about particles why the calcium carbonate needs to be a powder instead of a single lump. So powder and single solid lump. Sorry, this is powder instead of solid lump. Powder increase calcium carbonate increases the surface area. Which causes more frequent collisions. Per second. Explain using idea about particles why decreasing the temperature decreases the rate of the reaction between calcium carbonate and sulfur dioxide. Temperature decreases. Particles have less kinetic energy, move slower, and have less frequent collisions between the particles. Sulfur dioxide react with oxygen as shown. Explain why sulfur dioxide is oxidized in this reaction. Sulfur dioxide is oxidized as it gains oxygen. Explain using idea about bond breaking and bond forming why the reaction is exothermic. Bond making releases energy and bond breaking absorbs energy. More heat is released in bond forming or bond making than heat absorbed in bond breaking. Explain why the addition of catalyst increases the rate of reaction. It lowers a catalyst, lowers the activation energy. Zinc is a metal. Coating iron with zinc prevents iron from rusting. Explain how a coating of zinc prevents iron from rusting when the coating is scratched. Zinc is more reactive than iron, so zinc react earlier then iron, then iron. Zinc has metallic bonding. Describe with the aid of label diagram the metallic bonding in solid zinc. Positive ion and delocalized electron. Metallic bond is electrostatic force of attraction between metal positive ion and C of delocalized valence shell electron. Explain why zinc is a good conductor of electricity. Zinc has free moving electrons. One stage in the extraction of zinc involves electrolysis. At the cathode, zinc ions are changed into zinc atom. At the anode, hydroxide ions are changed into oxygen molecules and water molecules. Write the ionic equation for the reaction at the cathode and at the anode. Anode 4OH ion, 4 electron. So in this question, one of the stage in the extraction of zinc involves electrolysis. You know that when examiner asks you that write down this reaction, whether it is feasible or not feasible, you can just you are supposed to write down that equation. So at the cathode, zinc ions are changed into, just write down the equation. So if he asked you to write down, so just write down the equation, whether it is it happens or not. Similarly, anode, he asked you that anode of hydroxide ion change into oxygen molecule, water molecules, so just write down that reaction. So because in theory we have read that zinc is extracted, but he asked you that extraction of zinc involves electrolysis and cathode zinc discharge like this. So just write down the equation. A sample of 2.34 gram zinc is reacted with 50 centimeter cube hydrochloric acid. Show by calculation that the hydrochloric acid is in excess. So first calculate the mole of zinc. Mole of zinc is equal to 2.34 divided by 65. The mole of zinc is 0.036, and then mole of HCl. So here volume and concentration is given. The formula is concentration into volume over 1000. So concentration is 2.00 into 10 volume 100 centimeter 1000 divided by 1000. So the answer is 0.100. So this is this is the mole of HCl, and this is mole of 0.036. So here you know that this is the limiting from the mole, but check from the chemical equation also. This is excess. So you know that zinc and HCl, zinc has 2 mole, so by dividing 0.036, and it has 1 mole, 0.036, and here 0.100 divided by 2, so this is 0.036. now 1:1 ratio we will get, and this is 0.1 0.100 divided by 2, this is equal to 0.05. So in this way, after this calculation by taking mole ratio with zinc and HCl, then you should decide that which is limiting and which is excess. This is limiting again, and this is excess. And show by calculation acid is in excess. So acid is in excess because 0.1 moles of acid would react with 0.05 moles of, so in this way 0.05 moles, 0.1 mole of acid would react with 0.05 mole of zinc. 0.05 moles of zinc, because when we react with, like, look at the another like HCl, if we want to find out that which mole of what mole of zinc is reacted with HCl, So this is 1:2 and this is 0.1 mole ratio x. The x would be 0.100 divided by 2. This is equal to x. So in this way you can write down your statement that 0.1 mole of acid would react with 0.045 moles of zinc. So that's why mole of acid is in excess. Alkanes are a homologous series of saturated hydrocarbons. Draw the structure of two different alkanes with the molecular formula C4H10. Show all the atoms and all the bonds in the structure. This is CH4, two different alkanes. The isomer is this is CH4. This is another structure. This is unbranched and this is branched. These are the two structures of alkanes. So you just draw the structure. I have written unbranched and branched isomer for your understanding. So just draw the two structure. State using the general formula of alkanes the molecular formula of an alkane which has only 12 carbon atom. So this using the general formula is CnH2n plus 2. So when there is 12 carbon, C12 H12 into 2 plus 2. So the formula is 12 to the 24 plus 2 26, C12 H26. Many alkanes are separated from petroleum by fractional distillation. Describe the fractional distillation of crude oil. Describe the petroleum is heated at high temperatures the fractions of petroleum are vaporized and the fraction vaporized in the tall in the fractionating column the fraction with lower boiling point